It's about 9:30 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, April 17th, and I just got home from the East Portland Indivisible chapter meeting, and I pulled up to the driveway in my car, and I saw that I had a text from a good friend of mine, and it just said two words: he's alive. And her text included this picture. There he is. That's Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the innocent man who was abducted and illegally renditioned to a torture gulag in El Salvador by the Trump regime. My first thought was just like his wife must be absolutely overjoyed to find out that her husband is still alive, because both Bukele and Trump have not in any way allowed her to communicate with her husband while he has been kept in this torture prison. We had a sworn statement from a Department of Justice attorney back on Friday that Kilmar was still alive, but no other confirmation and no other evidence to that fact. And my comments have been full of people saying he must be deceased, that they must have done away with him, and that's why they're refusing to return him. And of course I was saying, you guys, like, no, we can't be doing that. We have no evidence to that fact. We don't need to be manufacturing stories. We don't need to be adding to the horrors by making things up, right? It's bad enough as it is that an innocent man has been taken from his home and has been sent to basically a concentration camp with horrific conditions. It's known for its extreme brutality. And he's done absolutely nothing wrong. He is a husband, a father, a union member. He is a man who is here legally with an order of protection that he not be returned to El Salvador. U.S. government admits that they wrongly renditioned him, that they should not have taken him out of the country. But then they have proceeded to say that there's nothing they're going to do about it. They're not going to remedy their error, that they will let him rot down there forever, pretending like they can't get him back. And then to add insult to injury, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of, I would say, the United States, but she is Donald Trump's Attorney General. She's been all over the news making false claims about Abrego Garcia, misrepresenting what courts have already ruled about him, and falsely claiming that he is a member of a gang. She even went as far as to say that his wife and child would be better off without him, and referred to his wife as that woman. What is happening to this family is bad enough. We don't need to manufacture fictions on top of it, right? So I immediately Googled the story, and the first thing that came up was from a Baltimore TV station. So Senator Chris Van Hollen went down to El Salvador and did exactly what he should have done: a big publicity stunt, made it very clear that what was happening was wrong, it was illegal, and he demanded to meet with Abrego Garcia. And initially he was denied that. But then he tweeted out images and footage of him being able to meet with Kilmar and said, "I said my main goal of this trip was to meet with Kilmar. Tonight I had that chance. I have called his wife, Jennifer, to pass along his message of love. I look forward to providing a full update upon my return." From the article, U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat of Maryland, met with Kilmar Abrego Garcia in El Salvador, the senator announced on Twitter Thursday night. The meeting came hours after Van Hollen posted a video to Twitter saying he was stopped and denied access while trying to visit CCOT, a notorious prison where Abrego Garcia was being held illegally. Bukele, the dictator of El Salvador, later posted on Twitter, "Now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador custody." Let's make it clear, Abrego Garcia was deported to El Salvador wrongly against a judge's orders after what the Trump administration called an administrative error. They knew he was innocent. They knew there was a protective order forbidding his rendition to El Salvador. And they did it anyway, and now they are leaving him to rot down there. Not only that, they are defying a 9-0 ruling by the United States Supreme Court that says that the U.S. government must facilitate his return to the States. Obviously, this is a breaking story, and there's going to be more information, but I think the thing that we need to take away from this initially is that Chris Van Hollen did the right thing. This is exactly what we need to see more of. We need to see our elected officials advocating for the people. We need to see them advocating for the rule of law. We need to see them making a big stink, a big spectacle. The theatrics matter. Drawing attention to these issues, making sure that they stay in the forefront of the headlines is crucial. This was absolutely the right move. Not only do we get confirmation, Jennifer, his wife, gets confirmation that her husband is still alive, but here we have this opportunity to see Kilmar and to empathize with him and realize that he is a real person. I know that a lot of us knew that before, but here's incontrovertible proof. Here's an innocent man stuck in El Salvador, separated from his wife, from his family. He has been wronged by the United States government. And that government is doubling down on that wrong, wanting to amplify it exponentially, right? Wanting to make sure that a man who had every right to be in the US, who was there seeking asylum, that and has a wife and an American citizen, wife and child, that man is continuing to be subjected to cruel, inhumane treatment by the United States government for no reason. For no reason. He has done nothing wrong. We've got to keep all eyes on the situation, and we have got to work relentlessly until Kilmar and all of the other innocent men who have been renditioned to El Salvador by the Trump regime, by Marco Rubio, till all of those men are brought home and given due process. Our advocacy for Kilmar is advocacy for every American. What is happening to him could easily happen to us. What they do to one of us, they do to all of us. Trump has already said that he wants Bukele to build more torture prisons for homegrowns, right? He wants to kidnap American citizens, snatch them out of their homes, shove them into an airplane, ship them across the border, and dump them in a torture gulag in El Salvador. The very thing he has done to Kilmar, he wants to do to anybody that he doesn't like, anybody who dares disagree with him, political dissidents. Please understand that what they do to Kilmar, they will do to the rest of us. If you are not persuaded by the grave cruelty and injustice that is being done to Kilmar and his family, then be persuaded when you examine how it could very easily hit you next or your loved ones next. First, they came for. This is an issue that we cannot let fall out of the headlines. This is an issue that we cannot let go of. The public pressure must be immense. Senator Van Hollen, I commend you for doing the right thing, for doing the necessary thing here. It has got to be all hands on deck to hold the line for due process for the Constitution and to make sure that the rights of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, of every American, of all of those men who were kidnapped and sent to the gulag in El Salvador, that those rights, due process, the Constitution, democracy is defended. I am so grateful that Kilmar is alive and that his wife got proof of that tonight. We cannot rest until he is returned to the United States, and he is safe here, right? The American government says that they intend to revoke his legal status here if he crosses the border, that they want to put him in custody and deport him to a different country, just not El Salvador. We cannot rest as long as these attacks against our civil liberties, against the rule of law continue. Until all of us are safe and given due process, none of us are safe. And that means that none of us are safe as long as the Trump regime stands.